Good morning. I'm Reverend Claire Middelton from the Center for Spiritual Living Colors, and I'm continuing our discussion around God. If you'll allow me, today I'm going to reference from the book The Signs of Mind, written by Ernest Holmes. And I'm going to start with the chapter that says, "In the beginning, God." If we suppose spirit to be the life principle running through all manifestation, the cause of all, then we must suppose that it has substance within itself. It is self-existent consciousness and also self-existent substance. Spirit makes things out of itself through some inner act upon itself. This inner act must, of course, be the act of consciousness, of self-perception, of self-knowingness. What God knows is. This has been called the Word of God and the self-contemplation of God. So I always find this interesting because when we read the Bible, we read "in the beginning," and we then recognize that God speaks forth various forms. And since there was nothing else, then what it is speaking forth must be of itself, including man. So one of the things I want to kind of really focus on is that there is not only God around us, but God within us. And that which is around us is coming forth from God. So that everything and everywhere we go, there is an essence of God around us. And that there's a possibility of communicating with that intelligence everywhere present. So one of the things that we teach is that all there is God. An interesting concept, and one in which people can sometimes feel that no matter what people do, it's God. So I just kind of want to address that for a moment and say that the possibility of God is in everything. As to whether that is coming forth is questionable. Because what comes forth is always good. It's always peace, it's always love, and it's always harmony. Anything else that you experience is a misconception of truth. So let's go back to this word because I think it's so powerful. And so God said, "Let there be." One of the things I like to do is experiment with this teaching. If in fact God can say, "Let there be," then maybe I can say, "Let there be," and allow something to come forth out of me. Because if God is within me, then all the power that is in God is available to me. One of the things that we teach is that as much God as you are willing to believe is in you, is in you. So I like to test things. Let there be. So sometimes I'll go down the street and I'll say, when I get to the store, let there be a new line opening up when I want to check out, because I don't feel like waiting. Let there be a parking space in the front so I can park my car and quickly get in and out of the store. Let there be peace as I step into a meeting with other individuals. Let God come forth. And so I play with these ideas. I not only play with them, but then I go back and record for myself the results of them. It works. That's all I have to say. It works. As you begin to speak consciously what it is that you desire, just as God said, "Let there be," you also have the capacity to say, "Let there be in my life." And what I really want us to understand is that when God begins this process, we're talking about void. Nothing is there. You can't put your hands on anything. However, whatever it is that God chooses to bring forth comes out of itself to create a form. And in many cases, that form is a form that will last for a period of time and then dissipate. So when you think about your life, and how your life may be changing and how we like to hold it in place, I want you to understand that that process of change and letting go to let something else new come in is a part of the process of life, allowing it and knowing that it came from God and that God is now going back into itself to come forth as a new form on your behalf. And notice I said on your behalf. Of course, you had to speak the appropriate words for it to be on your behalf. And I want to talk about everyday words. What are we saying every single day that is showing up in our lives? Because this power to speak and manifest lives within us. It is a part of us. And so what are we actually speaking every single day that we're experiencing and feeling that maybe the world isn't working for us? Or we like to blame it on a so-called devil. So let's think about how you get up out of your bed in the morning. What are you speaking for yourself? Are you speaking that today is a day of peace and harmony? Or are you thinking about yesterday or last week and what happened when you got up and got to your employment? Are you anticipating some chaos? You know, a lot of times we'll say, oh God, I gotta go to work and I have to deal with Mr. So-and-so or Miss such and such, and I know it's gonna be this, that, or the other. And what we are doing is speaking our word to manifest something that we've already experienced, but it wasn't a good experience. So why are we speaking it into existence again? Because we don't realize we're doing it. We don't realize the power that we really are, and that we have the ability to take that same scenario that we've gone through previously and identify it as something entirely different and entirely new. Why? Why do I believe that we have the ability to do that? Because I go back to the premise that God is within us, and what God speaks is. What God speaks is. What we allow to come forth out of our mouth is. So the question becomes, what are we speaking? What are we anticipating? What are we willing to have in our lives? And I think it's interesting that sometimes we get into a pattern where things are so chaotic that we just decide that's how life is, chaos. I spoke with someone recently who said that life is a struggle and life is hard and you just have to stand up to it. Well, good for you. Life for me is perfect, whole, and complete. I anticipate a day that moves smoothly, joyously, harmoniously, and that's exactly what shows up, unless I forget to remind myself of that. What I'm saying to each of us is that this God we're talking about that created the heavens and the earth, the plants, the wind, and man itself, is moving through each of us. And as we open our mouth, not only are we bringing forth our desire, but we are bringing forth God as that experience. And so we have the opportunity to look at our experience and change it. There's no reason why we cannot have a harmonious, successful life, other than that we are speaking into existence something other than that. What I know about God is that it has hidden itself within us, and it waits patiently to be discovered, to be tested, to be brought forth. And so it is up to us to begin to speak into our existence something greater. Yesterday, I met a woman who told me that her back was hurting, and I said, what's going on? She then listed several ailments. I have this, I have that, I have the other. And I asked her, I said, would you like me to write a prayer for you? And she said, yes. And I went home, wrote the prayer, came back and handed it to her. And I said, you know, one of the things that I would suggest is that you stop owning all of this dis-ease that you have, because you are verbally speaking into existence those particular experiences. It's not to say that that person is not uncomfortable, that they're not feeling whole and complete. But part of it is being able to hear what you're saying about yourself and recognizing the power of your own word and begin to speak into existence your wholeness, your health. And so I shared that with her. And her response to me was, yes, I'll do that. So in a couple of weeks, I'll check back with you and tell you if she's done her homework. See, it's really all on us. We decide how our life is going to unfold, no matter what appears around us. That reality that we're talking about lives within us. We speak it into existence. The possibility of perfection is ever in front of us, always available to us. Part of the question sometimes is, do we really want to be happy? Do we really want to be whole? Or does that give us some kind of hold on some of the people around us? You know, if I'm complaining all the time, I get some attention. If I'm complaining all the time, then I get an excuse on why I'm not going to do a particular thing. Sometimes we have created these situations in our lives so that we do not have to move forward into something greater. I think sometimes the greater is frightening for many of us because we haven't experienced it. And so part of this perfection of life is pushing yourself into arenas where you are uncomfortable and allowing yourself to experience the greater, the whole, the perfect. Moving yourself from your neighborhood into a different neighborhood. Picking up pictures and taking a moment to envision yourself on a beach in a beautiful brick home and begin to feel it. Begin to imagine yourself moving through rooms. Feel the sun on your face. You see, unless we have brought those ideas into our being, we are unable to speak them forth as our experience. So sometimes we have some homework to do. The wonderful thing about God that I know is that we are never stuck in anything. We always have an opportunity for something greater. And the very first place it starts is in your imagination and your willingness to speak your word and be the creator of your life. And so it is.